I told him not to open that barn door, Grandpa Amos muttered, wiping grease from his hands with a rag older than me. From inside, we heard the panicked yells of a grown man, boots skidding on hay, and the deep, menacing grunt of Beelzebub, the orneriest ram in Cedar Hollow, Montana. Amos chuckled. He wanted to enforce HOA Code 14.9 on livestock. Now he's locked in with a real attitude fixer. I held my phone not to call for help, but to record. When an HOA officer trespasses and gets trapped with a devilish ram named for Hell's ruler, you don't intervene. You hit record. That's our family way. Drop a comment. Where are you reading this? Here's how a nosy HOA cop met his match in a barn showdown. 24 hours earlier, life was quiet. Our kind of quiet, meaning no clipboard-wielding bureaucrats were yelling, and Beelzebub hadn't butted anyone that week. I was starting my online lit class when Amos stormed into our Oak Ridge Estates home, waving an envelope like it was a tax bill. His boots tracked mud across the floor, his truck reeking of gas and roasted pecans. "Another HOA love note," he growled. I grabbed it, reading, "Violation of HOA Code 8.3. Barn painted non-compliant red. Repaint required for community aesthetics." I blinked. Aesthetics? In a town with more cows than people? Amos snorted. "They think we're a gated spa allergic to grass, dirt, and manure. That's our aesthetic." The barn, a leaning two-story relic from the 1930s, was redder than a summer sunset, patched with tractor paint and grit. Amos, a war vet who'd outlasted recessions and social media, wasn't about to let the Silver Pines HOA dictate its hue. But that's where it began, a paint complaint and Vince Harper, the HOA's new enforcer. Vince, once a mall guard who scolded kids for loitering, got an HOA badge, a rulebook, and a swagger transplant. He rolled up in khakis, sunglasses, and a clipboard thick with citations, looking ready to annex a hamlet. "Amos Thornton," he barked, chomping gum. Amos, tinkering with his tractor, didn't look up. "Depends. You here to cuff me or sell me lavender oil?" Vince stayed stone-faced. "Official HOA business. Your barn breaks appearance codes, and I suspect illegal livestock." Amos stood, wiping his hands. "Son, that barn's been red longer than you've been breathing. Livestock? You the goat police?" Right then, Beelzebub poked his head out, snorting, his wool dark as thunder, eyes like bad omens. Vince scribbled, muttering, "This ain't over." He meant it. That night, over chili and car auction reruns, Amos spotted a flashlight on the barn's security monitor. "He wouldn't," I said. "Oh, he would," Amos replied. "City boy thinks trespassing's optional." We crept outside, watching Vince fiddle with the lock. He didn't know the barn was rigged. A pressure latch snapped shut past the hay bales, and Beelzebub lurked inside, always ready. The door creaked. Vince stepped in. The latch clicked, slamming shut. Silence, then a guttural grunt, a shuffle, and a bleat that shook the earth. Vince screamed, "Something's in here." Amos sat on a stool, munching pecans. "You're learning boundaries, son." For 15 minutes, chaos reigned. Vince's lawsuit threats, Beelzebub's wall-bashing, clanging tools, and pleas for mercy. "I've got asthma," he wailed, tumbling into a feed bin. "Let him out," I asked. Amos shook his head. "Let him stew." Vince climbed the loft, escaping Beelzebub's horns. Amos slid a note under the door on a feed store receipt. Release terms. 1. Admit trespassing. 2. Drop citations. 3. Apologize to Ram. Vince waved his undershirt, nodding. Amos opened the latch. Beelzebub strutted out like a champ. Vince stumbled free, straw-strewn, reeking of defeat, limping to his car as Amos called, "Next time, bring a priest." By morning, Cedar Hollow buzzed. News of Vince's Ram encounter lit up group chats. Over breakfast, Amos cackled at a meme of Beelzebub in sunglasses, captioned "Rural Law Enforcer." I wondered how to explain this on my Zoom class without sounding unhinged. Vince vanished, no patrols, no clipboard. Amos figured he was sulking, but I sensed scheming. A new notice on our door confirmed it. investigation for violations, and aggression toward an officer. Aggression? Vince trespassed and flipped the script. Amos crumpled it, tossing it in the compost. "If it ain't a check, I don't care," he said, feeding Beelzebub a muffin. I retrieved it, reading claims of animal assault. Laughable, but serious. Amos rigged a defense system, motion sensors, floodlights, cowbells on the gate. "Next trespasser'll think they hit Fort Knox run by goats," he said. A sign read, "Beware of ram. Violators trampled." At midnight, sensors pinged. Not Vince, but a figure in black snapping photos of the barn and bins, fleeing into the dark. "This ain't just Vince," Amos muttered. "They're building a case." A new letter arrived, citing escalated enforcement and property lien risk. Amos ate a moonshine peach, declaring, "War it is." While he crafted a manure and papier-mâché HOA rulebook, I dug online, finding the Silver Pines HOA's dated site. Bylaws micromanaged everything: lawn height, mailbox fonts, Times New Roman yes, Comic Sans no. Vince's hire tied to a compliance push by Preston Caldwell, HOA president and developer who'd once offered to buy our land for a golf course. We'd laughed him off. He hadn't forgotten. The HOA wanted us fined or scared into selling. Amos, who'd fended off raccoons with a broom, wasn't budging. Vince returned with 2 board members and a contractor, measuring our land. Amos sipped tea on the porch, watching as Beelzebub glared. The sheriff, Tom Larson, an old friend, visited, chuckling over a complaint about our illegal animal structure. "Amos, did you write no trespassing or hooves in soft places in Spanish?" Amos grinned. Inclusion matters. Laughter hid tension. This was about power. A certified letter summoned us to an HOA disciplinary hearing for barn color, livestock, and animal aggression. We arrived at the Cedar Lane Hall, Amos in ripped overalls, me with camera screenshots of Vince's trespass. Preston, fake tanned, led the inquisition, Vince bandaged and silent. Preston droned about community standards. Amos cut in. "We've got more shopping carts than lawns here. Save the sermon." I showed Vince's 11:43 p.m. break-in. The room hushed. Preston bristled. Vince stammered. Amos warned, "Sneak in again, bring a muffin, or meet vengeance, our other ram." Edna Walsh, a board member, smiled faintly. The vote split. Preston pushed legal action. Edna and 2 others paused enforcement. Edna warned us, "Preston wants your land." Next morning, a crew staked our lawn for easement compliance, shrugging off questions. Amos whispered, "They're provoking us." We fought creatively, repainting the barn in HOA-approved beige, off-white, and cream stripes, a compliant eyesore dubbed Barn 2.0. Signs read, "Livestock are emotional support. Don't provoke." A new letter threatened a barn lien. Amos, sitting with Beelzebub, looked weary but resolute. "This land's roots run deeper than their codes," he said. Edna called, revealing a hidden HOA motion for removing obstructive structures, buried in a 56-page PDF, enabling Preston's condo scheme. We went public, editing Vince's trespass video with Amos narrating HOA abuses, titled Ram Justice, Bureaucracy versus Tradition. It hit 50,000 views in hours, drawing news and selfie takers to Beelzebub. Neighbors shared fine stories, cracking the HOA's grip. A dead chicken on our porch, neck sliced, signaled escalation. Amos, fists clenched, pulled our deed and constitution, vowing, "They'll need a judge, not a bulldozer." A stranger in sunglasses slipped me a flash drive with Preston's emails and audio, plotting evictions and fines as pressure points. Edna, hearing Preston mock seniors, joined us. We planned a truth in the Hay Festival, food, raffles, Beelzebub's pen, to air the files. Preston's cease and desist failed against media coverage. HOA silences farmer and ram. Volunteers poured in, baking a Preston-butted cake. At the festival, Preston's condo pitch played, sparking booze and not-for-sale chants. Edna read his emails, exposing deals. Preston fled, his SUV door slamming. Edna, interim president, suspended fines and opened reviews. A county vote loomed to rezone our land for development, Preston's last play. We rallied the Barnyard Alliance. Neighbors like Mr. Lyle, fined for an Elvis scarecrow, and the Baxters, cited for gnomes, with flyers, videos, and QR codes. At the packed Willow Creek High Gym, Preston sat smugly as suits pitched progress. Mr. Lyle spoke of heritage. The Baxters showed goat-feeding photos. Edna read HOA schemes. Amos, in overalls, shared the barn's history, his dad's Depression-era build, his first dance with my grandma. "You don't bury the past," he said. "You plant in it. Sometimes a ram guards it." Applause erupted. The vote was 3-2 against rezoning. Preston stormed out. The lot became a party, Beelzebub munching a muffin. A developer offered a life-changing sum for our land. Amos tore the card, saying, "No money buys what we've paid for." The barn stood, a misty monument. Beelzebub's fame grew. Tourists brought treats. A media firm pitched a documentary. A publisher sought Amos's memoir. I recorded his tales, turning the barn into a storytelling space. Edna's HOA rewrote bylaws with input, replacing fines with volunteer hours. Vince, now at a wildlife sanctuary, apologized with a muffin, dining with us. I joined a journalism program, inspired by our fight, which became a beacon for others. A new sign read, "Home. Enter with respect." Preston's shadow lingered, but with Beelzebub, Amos, and Oak Ridge Estates, we were ready. Roots deep, stories alive, ram unbowed.